Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I'm Wiso from FootMexSource.com. This is an hour-long podcast dedicated to all things Mexican soccer. It's going to be a fun time. It's going to be a fun time, especially with these guys. Let's see who we have on the show today. Cesar and Mr. Tom. Cesar, how are you? Getting ready to board some planes at midnight, travel all over the place, right?
Yeah, I'm excited. See, I thought I would get an early flight and be able to make it to the practice tomorrow, but it turns out I'll still be missing out on the practice. But it'll be okay. Still in a good mood. What matters is me showing up in time for the game, and yeah, I'm just gonna have to go to sleep immediately after this because I have to wake up at about 3 a.m. tomorrow to head on over to the San Jose airport. So it'll be a good time. So I'll probably be half awake tomorrow when I meet up with Tom.
Nice. It's continuing coverage, from the Mexican Soccer Show. These guys all over with ESPN FC and going to some games. I'll be meeting with them in Phoenix. Hopefully some knockout games in the Gold Cup, so it should be fun. Mr. Tom Marshall, you are in Houston right now. How's it going? Big change. Orlando. You were in Orlando last week, and now you're in Houston.
Yeah, very hot. We've got some actually breaking news.
Breaking news.
And it's Hector Moreno. He's out of the Gold Cup.
The entire Gold Cup?
He's going to be operated on tomorrow due to, and it's an injury that came from 2008 with his fifth metatarsal, and he's going to have to be operated on again. And tomorrow they're going to do it. So big blow. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it, but I thought it's worth getting out there right now.
Well, there it is, exclusive. It's coming out right now. We're waiting for the news, and throughout the whole weekend, they were obviously, servicing about Hector Moreno. It hasn't been confirmed. What I understand is that he had this injury, and it was bothering him a little bit, but he decided to play during the first half of the Costa Rican game. Hector Moreno, he started obviously hurting. Do we know if it's his knee, right, Tom?
No, it's his foot.
It's his foot.
Yeah.
And that's where he decided to come out. On Sunday, once again, he felt the same pain. And that's when doctors, from what I read in Houston, were able to see and were able to give him an evaluation. It looks like, coming right now, Hector Moreno is out of the Gold Cup for Mexico. I think it's a big blow in the defense, especially having our best defender now out really quickly. Tom and Cesar, it looks like we just keep seeing these injuries. And I don't want to say in Piojo's camp, on what's happening, but it looks like injuries have, from a year to now, on what we're doing during the Mexican training, during the sessions, from Dam, if you remember, Tecatito also having, is it because of too many games or, just a bad luck? Tom?
No, I just think it's just natural. I don't think it's anything I don't think it's out of the norm. I mean, these players a lot of them come off a long season in Europe. Or in the Mexican League, and I just think that this is just wear and tear. This is what happens to players if you've got 23 together. Just chance-wise, there's going to be one or two injuries, concerns, and I'm sure there's a few others carrying kind of lingering knocks and stuff, but they'll be playing through it. So yeah, I don't think it's that. I just think that it is a big blow for Mexico. I think it's Moreno's become a bit of the leader of the defense. Obviously, quality-wise, he's arguably Mexico's best defender by quite a way right now, and so yeah, it's a significant blow for Miguel Herrera, and I think that it's going to be interesting to see now because next in line is Yasser Corona. He's not even made his debut. He's got no experience. Yeah, he's had a good season for Querétaro, but what will Herrera do? Will he stick with a 5-3-2 like which he has done since the World Cup, really, until very recently, until the last game, or will he now try and experiment? And I tend to think that the fact that Moreno is not there suggests or will point more towards a 4-4-2 formation like we're likely to see on Wednesday.
Well, it says that in really quickly, obviously, Moreno, this is why there is the CONCACAF wants that list of 35 players on bringing somebody in before the Gold Cup. It looks like it's either going to be Oswaldo Alanis or Ranier. I know some of them wanting Salcedo, but he wasn't registered on the list. Yasser being the backup right away. Who do you bring in? When you're looking at obviously Oswaldo or obviously Hernán Mier, who also has suffered some injury problems there.
I think Alanis has had a little bit more experience recently, and I think he's actually done quite well in that spot that Moreno played in. As I really want to put some trust in Yasser Corona, but and like we've mentioned, he hasn't played a single game, ever with the Mexican national team. I mean, his only experience was that he was in the watch of, I believe, the U20 squad when he was younger, but he never got to play any games at all. So that's his only extent he's had with the national team.
Mm-hmm.
So considering that, I think I would definitely bring in Alanis, and I think what this does too is I think it puts more pressure on Reyes.
Exactly.
I think Reyes had plenty of pressure having to fill in the big shoes of Rafa Marquez. Now that Rafa's out, people focused on Reyes a little bit to take over in that position, take over the defense. Now with Moreno out, once again it ups it even more. To show how, I mean, he has an immense amount of potential, but he has to prove that he could be important for Mexico. And I think the last game he was pretty poor, and I think it's been a while since he's had a decent game for Mexico, and I think it's now, like I said, it increases the pressure on a 22-year-old Diego Reyes, who's the second youngest player on the Gold Cup roster.
I mean, the positive thing about it is obviously you're going to get in a player where I'm not knocking at the competition, Cuba, Trinidad and Tobago, and also Guatemala being not the greatest of teams where we're having defenders coming in. If it's Yasser, if it's Osvaldo Alanis, to get some playing time before those qualifiers, looking to see who we're obviously meeting in the semis, and then obviously the final. I guess the positive news: Osvaldo Alanis had played with Mexico, and I think he looked good. I think even from I remember in the Chile game when we're all together, Osvaldo Alanis, was okay. Not the Moreno type of player, but having Moreno, been injured and looking at what he did in the Costa Rica game, definitely better to have him out and instead of having something detrimental to his career and keep him going, but I'm seeing that. Tom, do you think this might give more of a possibility of not keeping that 5 in the back because of Reyes used to having 4 in the back because you don't have someone like Moreno?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think the options are there, to be honest. I mean, I think that behind Moreno, I mean, the thing we've got to understand is Moreno left-footed and Corona's left-footed and Alanis is left-footed. But it's like there's a massive drop from Moreno to the other two. And I think that you just kind of look at overall the squad, and I think it lends itself more to changing the system. And I think the fact that Herrera in training today in Houston, tried that 4-4-2, and the fact that against Costa Rica in Orlando on Saturday it worked better in the second half for Mexico with a 4-4-2. I think everything's pointing at the minute to Herrera going with that formation. I mean, it's a difficult one. It's going to be interesting to see who he does pick because, I thought when I heard the news about Moreno potentially missing out, I thought instantly Alanis is obviously he's left-footed. But then if you think about it, it's like Herrera's got to think really long and hard about it because if he wants to play a flat back 4, Aguilar's not the best kind of right back. He's better going forward. And then you've got behind him Dueñas, who's a central midfielder primarily, who can slot in a right back for Tigres. And then you look, well, Mier has played right back before, so that might be an option. It might be an option to get Mier in there and then kind of sacrifice that left-footed, the left-footed centre back. Not
going into more information, Jonathan Dos Santos played right and then the defensive before. So I think it'd be of a gamble having him back there just since he hasn't. But I know he's played that position. But let's go ahead and just talk quickly.
Just quick thing though. I think like from Moreno's point of view, just so disappointing.
Definitely.
For him. I mean, this time last year, almost to the day. In fact,
second summer in a row, man.
I mean, he broke his leg today, exactly 1 year ago. And then now a year on, he's got this result from the doctor. Like, all year in the last 12 months, he's been trying to get back fit to try and kind of earn that move. Everybody knows Espanyol is desperate for money. They need to sell Hector Moreno. There's been interest there, and then once again, he's facing this summer of just like recovering, and it's unlikely now that we're going to see a move between now and the end of the transfer window, and he'll go back to Espanyol. It'll be the same story. He'll have to prove himself. He'll have to prove his fitness before he can get to that move, get to the bigger club.
Are there reports of how long? I know he's out for the Gold Cup, which is a whole month. Is it a whole month that he'll be out and ready for next season, or is it more severe than that from the reports?
I'm not sure, but I think from a metatarsal injury, or if he's replacing the screws that they put in, the doctors,
Mhm.
kind of
Okay.
to mend an injury. Apparently, it's not kind of connected. Like his body's kind of rejected him, and it's been an ongoing problem he's had. But now, obviously, it's too much, and they've got to go back in there and kind of try again to do it. So, usually with a metatarsal, it's what, like 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, and I might be way off, but I think I saw something online that also said about a month to a month and a half. But yeah, I guess it would be about the same, 6 to 8 weeks. So it didn't seem like it'd be that not nearly as bad as last summer, but I did see something that was like about the same period as well.
Interesting to see. Let's go ahead and we'll be talking obviously about Moreno, and I'm sure Tax is going well into the game that's happening on Wednesday. But really quickly, obviously 365 days, we mentioned it. What's all over since midnight last night? Everyone tweeting already the 365 days. No era penal meme. I could say that I was there, the crying right next to in that seat, in that long walk back on the side of Castelao and Fortaleza. Really quickly, guys, before we get into both of the games, I like to pose this question. If we're looking at 365 days ago, has the team progressed, or have we taken a step back? And I'd like to hear both of your answers. Start with Cesar.
I think the team has progressed. I know there's some negative feelings because of the last 6 games that Altri has had, they haven't won. But 5 of those games have been with arguably a backup squad. And I think immediately after the World Cup, Mexico had a good run with friendly matches. They even beat the Netherlands. And around that same time too, Mexico brought back Carlos Vela, which is significant. It's massive. It's huge. And to start 2015, they had a few good friendlies as well, using some of those some of the better, like more talented options that we've had. I think, like I said, it's easy to look in the last 6 games and think that Mexico has been poor, but let's remember that. Other than the most recent one, which was a tie, wasn't even a loss, the 5 ones before that were with the backup squad, with a bunch of experimental squads, not Mexico's best options. Mm-hmm. So I think Mexico has moved forward. I think Vela has been a huge addition to the roster, and I think we're going to see how powerful and how dominant that roster could be in CONCACAF in this upcoming Gold Cup. And I think given the week or so of training that they're going to have, upcoming, it's going to be exciting to see what they can do, and I think they could easily dominate the Gold Cup. So yeah, I think they've definitely gone past that, and they'll do very well in the upcoming tournament.
Tom, same question. I mean, looking at it, Cesar and I would like to say that we've progressed because we're both big fans. Tom, you're looking at it a little respectfully, looking at it a step back. Can we even say that? And have we even had a measuring stick to really say we've progressed, or are we still the same? There's nothing that we've had kind of that give us over the hump, or maybe the players. If anything, our forwards I think are doing phenomenal. If we're looking at Chicharito, Vela, Giovanni Dos Santos, and what they did in the last year before, not getting the playing time, Vela not being there, Chicharito struggling hard, but what he did at Real Madrid at the end of the season, I would say in that sense, our midfield, having those players constantly play, I think in that case, on an individual level, I think the players have progressed. But as a team, what do you think?
I think it's difficult to say they've progressed. I mean, I think the addition of Vela is important, but we've yet to see how he fits in and how he's gonna work. I know there was the game against the Netherlands, but then there was the game against Belarus right after, and I think that's the way of looking at this Mexican national team now. It's so kind of there's just different ways of looking at everything. I mean, look at the front three. I mean, Vela's coming off not the best of season, certainly not as good as the season before. Chicharito hasn't got playing time. Giovanni's, worst season in a couple of years for him. I don't know. I think it's difficult to say it's progressed. I'd say that in general, Miguel Herrera, and I think what we're seeing with these friendly games now, is that he knows basically that it's the same team as the World Cup. He knows those players know his system and understand how to kind of operate within that 5-3-2. And I think he knows that's a fallback.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's experimenting now with different systems, which, there's 2 ways of looking at it as well. It's like, should he now actually know the system he wants before the Gold Cup? or is it is it good that he's got a fallback 5-3-2 that he knows will work? I mean, I don't know. I don't think we've seen too many players come through. I mean, with the exception of Tecatito, who you can say, right, this kid, is ready or almost ready for the national team. Perhaps Carlos Salcedo as well. But apart from that, I think it's as we were, and from a year ago. I mean, I don't think Mexico were kind of moving up the rankings. If you were to, I know the FIFA rankings aren't great, but if you were to do a good ranking, I don't think Mexico are going up. I'd say they've stagnated and pretty much the same position as they were 12 months ago.
And I think it'd be kind of hard to say that, but nevertheless, no Nora Penal is still out there, so people are still hurting hard for that. But let's switch over. To what happened on Saturday against a very surprising Costa Rica, where I feel like in the formation that came out, especially 2-3 days before, everyone was extremely surprised having 3 up there. Everyone were talking about the stubbornness of Piojo 5-3-2 system not being any other system given a chance. Those 3 forwards coming up. In your opinion, Cesar, I saw you tweeted out there. It looked good having those 3 almost in that FIFA formation having out there.
Yeah.
I was one that was like, be careful, because Costa Rica isn't a team that has that you can just put 3 up there and 5 in the back and no middle. But question for you is, do you think this was good as an experiment? Because I don't know if Piojo really underestimated Costa Rica, thinking that they were just gonna be okay with that formation. Is that good for Piojo experimenting, or is it bad because he didn't know that was such a disaster of a start of a game?
No, I think it was actually. I think anytime Piojo experiments is good because he's so stuck with his 5-3-2 formation. So actually, even though it didn't work that well, I was actually pretty excited for him to try something slightly different. Even though it was just a 5-2-3 as opposed to a 5-3-2, very minimal difference from what he usually does. I was actually happy with what he did. Considering that formation, I think, all 3 of those strikers are very, very talented options, and that was the first we've seen of them. I don't think just based off of one game we could really say that all those 3 players aren't going to work well together in the future. They could, maybe if Piojo was to give it another try this Wednesday, which I don't think he will, but if he were, it could work well. But I think it was good for him to experiment, and I hope he continues to experiment. I think with a likely 4-4-2, this Wednesday, he probably will continue to try that out. What I would like to see him try is a little bit more of a 4-3-3, but I think that'll be a little too much, a little too different from what he would like as well.
He did the 4-3-3. I mean, moved up Reyes. I think it was a little late after the second goal, 15 minutes after that, moved up Reyes to the top. It was pretty much a 4-3-3, but you have to have a defensive mid, 2 defensive mid like Gallito, possible. People are talking about Jonathan Dos Santos. But, Tom, how can we have those 3 players that everybody wants to see? And if it's just not working, when's the time to ditch it? I mean, is it whenever we get scored on 2 goals? But let's just say having a true defensive mid like Gallito, there, the 3 and keeping in that 4 formation, 4-3-3, can that work for Piojo, and will we even see it in that option?
Well, I think it can work. Yeah, I mean, it works for other teams. But I mean, the problem is that he gave it 45 minutes in the first friendly game when the players aren't fit. I mean, Carlos Vela just didn't look fit. He didn't look ready.
Mm-hmm.
He still needs time, and that's not enough time. 45 minutes to get this working, and it's the big question. What does he do? Does he keep with it? And
Yeah, I think we're losing Tom there.
try and see.
There it is.
I think this is a problem with Mexico in general. The managers don't have the luxury of kind of experimenting for too long, because we know that Herrera's already under pressure from the Copa America.
Yeah, that's true.
So if this experiment doesn't work, all of a sudden the pressure becomes greater, and I think it's a bit of a shame. But then again, it's understandable, and I think that, like I said before, I think Herrera is going to fall back any point there's problems with this team. He's going to fall back to the 5-3-2, and he's going to pick the most amount of players that's played at the World Cup as possible. I think he feels that It might not be superb, but it'll be good in a decent display.
I think we're cutting in, Tom, just a little bit, so we'll check.
I blame the Houston weather. It seems like it's ridiculous out there. I've seen images of like ridiculous amounts of rain out there in Houston recently. So that's
everywhere Tom goes, it starts raining. You notice that, right? It's from London. Hopefully, bring some of that when you come to Phoenix, Tom. Bring 117 degrees. So get ready. Formation was a big talk of the game, and we saw it. Costa Rica, I felt, obviously, with defensive mistakes, was having our counterattack. Piojo not thinking about the Costa Rican forwards went so fast and being able to score 2 goals down 2-0. For some reason, I wasn't too worried. I wasn't worried at all. I felt like we knew what the problem is with that formation. Once it changed, I was really, really surprised of Esquivel. I don't know if you guys were surprised. Especially as coming into such an early sub for him.
I think most would say that they're very surprised about Esquivel.
And what he did, putting him out to the wing, just phenomenal, obviously, in his passing. And there's Piojo again. When we just question what it is, he does something that no one expects, and then it works.
Yeah.
So interesting to see. Talk to me about his changes. Having Esquivel in there, taking out Moreno and Vela, whom Vela not having, obviously I just saw him a little rusty, not as fast, taking some shots that just normally on him. Granted that they all have been in vacation. It's been a while since their games, but subs wise, and the way that he was able to take that half and change it, Cesar, in your opinion, those subs that made the difference, that's a good thing for Piojo. I feel like he knows how to solve problems.
Yeah, out of context, you see, you just see who he took out, and you'd have thought that was the dumbest decision ever. That the subs that you take off at halftime are Moreno and Vela. we knew exactly. Now we know what was happening with Moreno, and looking back at the game, we saw that Vela. It almost seemed like he really didn't care about the match. Maybe he wasn't match fit. But I think what it also proves is when he brought in Gallito, that shows how important Gallito is, to this national team, and how much Mexico really needed a player like him, in the middle of the midfield. And Esquivel, that really caught everyone by surprise, right? Like I did not expect him to see him having a part in each goal. The second goal was beautiful. It gives me chills. Yeah. Watch the Chicharito goal all over again. It was a beautiful placement for the ball, and then Chicharito, that was just clinical. That's a Real Madrid player right there. The way that he headed. But yeah, no. It was definitely great. They were great substitutions, and I think going forward. I think Gallito won himself I think he had that starting spot to begin with, anyways, with Piojo.
I keep telling you guys that. No one listens to me.
That cemented his spot right there.
No one listens to me.
I thought the Guardado and Herrera experiment could have worked. I thought that Guardado could have sat a little bit further back. I thought Herrera would have been able to, have plenty of energy to move back and forth. But no, they both had trouble, containing that giant, the big amount of space they had there. I thought they would have been able to do it, but it ended up not working out.
I think he can do it against Cuba. I think he can do it against Trinidad, maybe Guatemala, but not against Costa Rica, U.S., possibly even Honduras. We'll see where it's going. Herrera cannot play the defensive mid. Neither can Guardado. They're too. They go forward too much, and I'm not saying Gallito doesn't do that, but he stays back.
That with PSV though. Guardado is the only. He's the lone midfielder for PSV Eindhoven. But once again, he just. But then again, Guardado. I think he was one of the better players in the game too. I think despite Mexico, struggling with possession in the first half, I think he was still one of the few players to make key passes going forward.
Yeah. Good, Tom.
I think the point is it's the same with the front three. The two midfielders. I agree with Cesar. I think it could work, but it's not going to work in 45 minutes.
No.
The first friendly under unbelievable heat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's difficult, but I think that first half against Costa Rica. I think the key was balance. I don't even Esquivel. Yeah, he was very good. He's obviously full of confidence at the minute, but I think the key was balance, and there was none in the first half.
Yeah.
You look at the back, you look at the midfield, you look at up front. Every zone of the field, it was they didn't quite know what they were doing. There was, and then in the second half with the 4-4-2, even the midfield with Gallito and then Herrera giving more freedom, that is kind of imbalanced with each other. You know what I mean? They know what they're doing. They're very the roles are very defined. Gallito, defend, protect the back four, get the ball, win it, pass it short, go. You know, Herrera, create.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Esquivel, get the ball in the box. Look for Chicharito's runs. I just felt it was, there was a lot more balance there compared to the first half, and that comes from, I mean, that the first formation they tried, it lasted about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, the 5-2-3 lasted 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then Reyes kind of stepped into midfield, and that was the end of that experiment. I mean,
yeah. And that's another thing. I don't think Reyes even did. I mean, it was like, okay, I'm moving up. I felt like he didn't do that great either. So I think it was an experiment, try it out in this preparation game. I mean, we can call it that.
But I mean, I think you got to feel a bit. I mean, today in the training, the 4-4-2, Chicharito and Vela up front. You have to feel a bit sorry for Giovanni Dos Santos.
Yeah.
What does he have to do?
He's got the goal. I know he's not had a great season, but him in particular, and Chicharito, to be fair, both of them, in limited bits of training and kind of from that Costa Rica game, they were both kind of sharp. They looked Mexico's sharper players, and it looks very much like there's no way he's dropping Vela. I mean, that's just not. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's a problem, I think.
And I think it's good. I mean, let's look at the top teams, and you're having 3 or 4 great forwards. We're not going to have them out there. Look at Argentina. Tevez is coming in the 67th minute every time. I mean, he's got Kun Agüero's got Messi. It's okay. And I think they know that. The good thing is that they know. But any of them that right now we haven't seen Vela. I think Vela's probably the worst out of the 3. But I'm sure he's going to get there. He's in the rhythm that he has. If he's got any of those 2 that start, I don't think it'll create hostility. I don't think it's anything, because once someone subs in, bam, there's Vela coming in or Giovanni coming in or Chicharito. I think we feel bad for these players, but it's the reality. And at the same time, is that if the 3 forwards aren't going, then I think we're going to be seeing 3 forwards in a desperate situation. You're down 1-0 and just going forward, so long as you're reinforcing the mid. I think maybe that's what he's trying out to see and what is coming out. But interesting that I like the fact that he's trying it out on his experience in these 2 games, and that's what it is for preparation. Cesar, you're about to say?
I was just saying, just I think before the game, I would have said that Chicharito and Vela should be if we're going to have 2 strikers, they should be the 2 starting strikers. I know we're saying, what does Giovanni Dos Santos have to do? But as we mentioned, it was just one good game he had. I know he had an excellent game. That was a fantastic game, but I would still put more faith in Vela than Giovanni Dos Santos if we're going to try to have someone who's going to create something for Mexico. And I think maybe if Vela doesn't do well again, because it looks like he's going to be obviously the likely starter in the striking position again this Wednesday, then maybe we can have a little bit more of a serious conversation and say, okay, maybe we should bring in Giovanni Dos Santos instead. But right now, I think even after that good game that Gio had, I mean, it was just one good match. I would still have Chicharito and Vela up there.
Definitely.
Love someone to tell Vela that he's not playing. Imagine his reaction.
Nah.
Hey Carlos, you've not been around for a bit, but you played a couple of games and you're not starting now. Probably.
And then he tells you, and then he tells you, just look at that Holland game I'm playing in Europe. What? Just look at that game. Interested to see, Costa Rica, talking to people in Costa Rica, I got a little message that just kind of said, and I was talking to Smack, it's like, Mexico used to beat up on us all the time, now they haven't been able to beat us in the last 3 games.
They were good, they were good.
And then also the U.S., and I know friendlies, and I know how it is, but we're looking at the last meeting times we have had against the U.S. against Costa Rica. We haven't beaten them at all since. Yeah. Costa Rica in.
Well, we didn't beat them.
Man, I think it's got to be before the World Cup in 2009, if I'm not, because we didn't play them in the Gold Cup in 2011, so we haven't beaten Costa Rica in a very long time. If I'm not mistaken.
I mean, Mexico's first game in the Gold Cup is July 9th in Chicago, and it's actually the same day that the new FIFA rankings are going to come out. And I know people complain about the FIFA rankings, and obviously they're not ideal.
They're important.
They're not ideal, but
all about the ELO rankings.
They do give a rough idea of how the team's doing, because obviously if you win games you go up. Now, on July 9th when they come out, Mexico could actually be on a record low. They could go to the lowest point ever because they've gone 6 games without a victory now. And they're going to start that first Gold Cup game almost certain to be third in CONCACAF.
Well, it's a good thing that we're going to win the Gold Cup, and then we'll, rocket up to number 4 or something.
Yeah, keep our opponents
maybe number 3.
really high.
Yeah.
Keep our opponents really high, because the more that we beat on higher opponents, the better it's going to look for us.
Oh, it's genius. I like this idea.
Yeah, no, of course, and you know what? It's no surprise because we're going to see the Perus, we're going to see all of them that just had after your own obviously. Tournament in your own conference, and CONMEBOL just did that. So all the Perus, Venezuelas, they're going to push a lot of people up. We haven't won. Not, at the same time, they're very important. I think a lot of people say, "Oh, they're a joke." Those are the ones that are getting. Obviously, if you get to the top 8, you do get a seed in the World Cup. Look at what happened with Belgium, Switzerland. So and they're able to get that, and it looks like they all kind of go through because of the opposition that they go through. So they're very important. Hopefully, if having a great Gold Cup, and then obviously the playoff, making it to the Confederations Cup, it should give us a little bit of a lift. But interesting that you note that, Tom. Kind of to end the Costa Rica game, I like the fact, it did end up in 2-2. It could have been a 3-2 at the game. It looks like Costa Rica finally adjusted, bringing in the 5 in the back also, and wasn't as easy for Mexico to come down. I mean, we scored the 2 goals really quickly, and then obviously with so many subs, so many different formation comes in, with Piojo coming in, obviously the game kind of dilutes down. But obviously a great test for Mexico, and what looked to be at Orlando, a great crowd. But now we have Honduras. Now we have one more game where obviously Piojo, I think what he will do is look for that defense, especially Moreno's out, is to make sure he's got that ready to go. And then obviously what else? What do you say, Tom, is something that we need to work on in this game? Not necessarily an experiment, because it'll be the last try before we actually start the Gold Cup. And not to say that Cuba and Trinidad and Tobago or even Guatemala are great threats, but what do we need to work on before that way we're at 100%? It looks like rhythm-wise we're suffering. But other than that, Tom, what do you think?
I think winning.
We just need to win. That's what we need to work on.
We're gonna win. Don't worry. It's Honduras. They got some of their best players aren't even gonna be on this roster.
But no, only half joking. I mean, 6th game without a victory. I think it's important that Mexico do go out there and get a victory. And Honduras, I know, they're not the best. I think they're 75th in the world in the rankings, but they're actually, Pinto's a very, very good manager, Mexican team. But I think that they're going to be a difficult team to break down, like they always are. And Mexico isn't going into the game in the best of form. I think what do we want to see from Mexico? I think a team, like I said before, a team that's in balance, that seems at ease with itself. Because I think in the goal, all the way through the Copa America, we saw a team that just wasn't comfortable in its own skin, apart from the game against Chile. And then, we saw that against Costa Rica as well. We just not very organized, didn't know what they were trying to do, how they were going to go about winning the game, how they were going to go about scoring. And I think that Herrero want to see this 4-4-2 formation work. I still have my doubts. I mean, I think that it's still a very short amount of time to work on this formation. I mean, if he wanted to change the formation around it, I feel like it probably should have been maybe late last year when he's had a good few games to work with the team on it. So yeah, I think there's plenty to work on in terms of the formation, and is it going to work? Will it be the same against Costa Rica where it instantly clicks or not? And I think the overriding thing is to get a victory, because it's been too long now without a victory for this Mexico team.
Yeah, and I think be careful. Let's say he puts in the 4-4-2. We smash Cuba 4-0. We beat Trinidad. We beat Guatemala 3-0, 4-0, and then we face
some pretty conservative scores right there for the Gold Cup.
I'm just saying, let's say with this 4-4-2 formation going against not that greatest of teams, when we do face a Honduras maybe, or we do face a Costa Rica, I mean the test will be there, I guess. But it's interesting to see that he does have what we fall back in that 5-3-2, but at the same time Moreno's injury is key to see what happens, what he does in the 5. Cesar, you're flying there tomorrow. What do you want to see? Obviously, the win, Tom, like Tom said. But what do you want to see in this game? One thing that I like to point out before you answer is our forwards are doing great. I don't think I remember a time where our forwards are scoring. Even in Copa America, the only time we're looking at that, and even before that, our forwards are the ones that are scoring. I think there was a long drought in Chepo's tenure where it was a midfield or a defender of a corner kick, but we're seeing that. Aside that, what do you want to see in this game before we get to the Gold Cup?
I want to see some confidence. I want to see some solidity from solidity. I just made up a word right there.
Solidity.
Solidity, right there.
Salinity.
Solidity, no, not salinity, but some I guess some solid performances from our defense, and especially our center backs. I want to see some good stuff from Reyes and Massa, because there are definitely some worries with those two players. Reyes has been inconsistent in the past, and Massa, as good as he has been, I think he has justified a spot in this current Gold Cup squad. I think there are some worries about Massa, and also more importantly too, I think Ochoa looked a little off in the last game as well. So I think I want to see, like I said, more confident performances from our two center backs and from Ochoa in the goalkeeper position, because he fumbled the ball in the first half in the last game, and he I think I would even argue that he was partially at fault for one of the goals against Costa Rica before Layun's own goal. I think he should have been able to come out and block that opportunity, that cross that was just literally right in front of him. So I think those are my worries, and I think if we can clear those up, then I myself would have a lot more confidence for the Gold Cup too.
Yeah, vacation. I mean, I look at it. I mean, when's the last time Ochoa got a tunnel nutmeg?
That one was fine. It was just the next goal though, like I said. And
I reckon even the first one, it was a bit. I don't think you can do much about going through your legs, but kind of tentative coming out. I mean, as soon as the Ramirez got on the ball, I felt it should have been. He was a bit hesitant. He waited, and then he gave the striker time to kind of have a look, have a think, and then place. I don't know. I mean, as well things, but the fight game for since what, like.
Tom, I think is connection.
Yeah, I didn't hear a single thing.
I didn't hear a single thing, Tom. Neither did I, Tom. Dang it.
I mean,
10 times better than what I
heard. Yeah, something like. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean.
Go ahead, Tom. Now I can hear you a little
bit. Obviously, it's not. You can over go through these things in too much detail, but I felt that Ochoa for that first goal perhaps should have come out there with a bit more authority. But the fact he's not played since January, obviously everybody is looking at everything he does, and to a certain degree that's legitimate. That's fair enough, because it's not great to have a goalkeeper coming into a tournament, especially with the Gold Cup. And I think actually Ochoa, one of the criticisms of him is perhaps in the kind of concentration, and in terms of, you look at Mexico going into the Gold Cup, where especially against the weaker teams, you think that the goalkeeper's not going to have that much to do. I mean, these teams are going to play counter-attacking football, 10 players behind the ball.
More like 11, man.
Yeah, 11, man.
12 with the ref.
Yeah. But then the goalkeeper, it's all about concentration. Yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily about how great you are at stopping the ball. Ochoa's great when he's playing for Ajaxio or for Mexico against Brazil. But he's involved every few minutes or whatever. It's like, I think the question mark over Ochoa is also, when there's not much to do, can he keep the concentration? Is he gonna, I don't know. I mean, you don't expect him to have trouble, but you never know.
Yeah, hopefully, obviously, Ochoa can fix whatever he has. I think it has to do with the vacations coming in. I think the rhythm that you're on. Yeah. The good thing is that we face those teams that, as much as maybe we're not going to see Ochoa get a Brazil type of game, but at the same time, hopefully he can get that rhythm. And there's no competition on who the starter is. Maybe the pressure is like, I got this. Before the good thing is that there are no Clembuterol stories coming out, and we don't have a problem because this is gonna be Ochoa's first Gold Cup.
Yeah.
Official one, because there's the ones that we don't really count in the middle.
All right.
I'm talking about the one that counts, but we're looking at that. Let's talk about let's look at formations, and then maybe we'll see maybe a prediction of the game. What do you guys think on prediction? Will we see the three forwards up front for this Honduras game one more time? Cesar's already shaking his head no.
No, we're going to see that more. Yeah.
And then Tom, also, I mean, you were there at tell us what you saw at the training today.
Training, yeah, good atmosphere. I think it was the assistant coach Santiago Baños' birthday, so they all did the pastel, what's it called?
Mordida?
The mordida with the pastel and all that. So yeah, I mean, it's been a great atmosphere. It's like the World Cup, like just before the World Cup, very relaxed. I think the game they played today, they're pretty intense. The heat's ridiculous, so it must be difficult to work. But Chicharito's looking unbelievable in training. I mean, he really is looking sharp, and he almost got an absolute golazo.
Well, he realizes, like, if I don't do well, I might have to go to the San Jose Earthquakes.
Oh, gosh. It feels every 3 months, Chicharito and Gio are going to the MLS.
Yeah. But, I mean, and I think the big thing from training was the formation and the fact that Herrera, is going for this 4-4-2. He's going to give it another go on Wednesday against Honduras. And, the question mark, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? But I'd say in general in the camp, it's, really positive atmosphere. Obviously bad news about Moreno, but, I don't think there's many problems. I think that, the press has obviously put a lot of pressure on Miguel Herrera. And at the end of the day, this is the weird thing about the Gold Cup. I mean, unless something goes really, really badly wrong, Mexico are going to make the semi-final. Yeah. And it's then that all the pressure kind of gets thrown on the players. So I think a lot of this Gold Cup is about the mental state of the Mexican side. I mean, there's a long time to be together, 23 players and all the coaching staff, and, obviously the fans here in the US are pretty insane, and, there's a couple of hundred there outside of training today just going crazy and asking for autographs. So, I mean, Mexico just got to keep calm, and Miguel Herrera, I think a really important thing is in the press conference, he can't lose his head like he seemed to do in Chile, with his political stuff, and he's like talking about this and that, and I go to the media for questioning him about the political tweets. He's got to talk about what's going on the pitch, because he's actually quite good when he does that. And the press conference in Orlando, he was actually very good and back to his usual self. He just has to really focus on that, so that the pressure on his players is less than or as minimal as it can be, given this is Mexico and there's always so much pressure when it comes to the Gold Cup.
Oh, good. Really quickly, just kind of saying hi to the chat that everyone is just kind of going off. Lots of comments between Joel, Ivan Fernandez, Afrozander, Tony Medina, just saying hi to the guys, saying that that Ochoa put Ochoa against those Caribbean teams, and he get his groove back. Hashtag how Memo got his groove back. Fun stuff. He should copy Campos and fly for the ball. Just a lot of great conversation. If you're not on the chat, definitely get on and talk to these guys. So a lot of stuff's going on. But to end the show, let's talk about, obviously, looking at predictions, looking at what we want to see. We already talked about the game. But Cesar, last time we predicted an easy win, maybe not an easy win, but a win for Mexico or Costa Rica. I felt like there was going to be not as easy. I thought Costa Rica was going to score, and we are going to see that. But Cesar, your prediction for Mexico versus Honduras, which you're going to be at the game.
Yeah, I'm predicting a 3-1. I think Mexico's attack is going to do pretty well, but I'm a little worried. I'm still worried about our defense a little bit. I think Massa and Reyes are going to make one crucial mistake, and it's going to lead to a goal from Honduras. So I'm shooting for a 3-1.
Sorry, I just read on the chat. Tom's broadcasting from the International Space Station. Fun times. That was Mr. Joel Bot. If you don't know, Jolie Aceves, from writer for Food Mech Source, always comes on and loves to talk about. Tom, your prediction and why? What do you think?
Cutting out a bit.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Tom.
Say it again.
Your prediction. In the view of the moon right now.
Yeah, looking into the stars. My prediction is a 1-0. 1-0. I think that
1-0. Oh, come on, man.
Honduras last 3 games, 2-0 against El Salvador, obviously a weaker team, 2-2 draw against Paraguay, which is, they're in the Copa America semis, and a 1-0 loss against Brazil. So I don't think they're as easy a team to beat as we think. I think that with Pinto, they're going to be extremely difficult to break down, and I think that it'll be a struggle for Mexico, but they will get that goal, and I can't see Honduras posing them too many problems at the other end of the field.
1-0.
I'm going with the 2-0 Mexico. I don't think Honduras has anybody that can really make a threat. I feel like
Andy Mayhar, hey, he's linked to Arsenal.
There's a Mexican. There's someone that plays in the Mexican League, right? Cesar plays for
it's Eddie
Correcaminos.
Yeah, Eddie. Oh, his contract, his loan with Correcaminos ends tomorrow.
There it is. So there's no players in the Mexican League.
Yeah, but no, technically maybe. But Eddie Hernandez, Correcaminos, he had 4 goals in the Ascenso, he had 2 goals in the Copa MX. He probably will get a lot of playing time. But who knows? Maybe they'll give him a little bit of playing time because he's well, actually, wait, maybe he's not comfortable with any of these players. So there goes that argument. Yeah.
It is Profe Pinto. Obviously, Pinto, you know him from Costa Rica from a year ago. And what he did at the World Cup, definitely very, very big things. Exactly a year ago, Costa Rica beat Greece in order to advance to that final steps. Congratulations to the Ticos. Like I said, 2-0. I don't see any threats, and we'll be seeing, I think, Chicharito in a good rhythm in where he's at, and hopefully ready to go for that game that's coming July 9th in Chicago, where once again Cesar and Tom will be there making sure they're covering. So definitely follow them if you're not doing so already. Then they're going to come to Phoenix and party down here in the heat of 116 degrees, so Tom can really see what a dry heat really is.
Playing some FIFA, right?
Yeah, definitely going to play maybe Periscope some FIFA like Memo Choa did. I am horrendous, but we'll try to get something
I'm terrible too. I challenged Tom when I was in Guadalajara, and I was losing like 5-0. It was right in front of my girlfriend too. It was embarrassing. I thought about just going straight back to California after that.
I wish Periscope would have been around then.
I used Periscope in the what game was that? The Coliseum. That was I put it up there. No one knew Periscope back then. I think it was like the very first day. I was like, this sucks. This isn't gonna make it anywhere. No one's following me. So we'll make it fun, and we'll invite also Pancho Villa's Army is gonna down here.
Quick shout out to Pancho Villa's Army. I was talking to them on Twitter. They'll be, if any of you haven't checked it out yet, they're gonna be renting out a double-decker bus, and I believe it's only $10 to get on this bus. And they'll basically, you meet up at this place, and I think they'll take you guys to a bar, and I think they'll take you over to the stadium for just $10. And it seems like it's a lot of fun. Personally, if I wasn't covering this game, and if I was in Houston, I'd probably be tagging along on that. That sounds like a lot of fun. But yeah, check them out at Pancho Villa's Army. I talked to them, and I told them to give them a little bit of a shout out during the show.
Yeah, I was able to do that with them when I was in San Antonio. A lot of fun, especially at the restaurant, and that double-decker bus that takes you over there. Everyone's like, what are these guys doing? And even though we lost against the United States in San Antonio. But we'll keep going, guys. Well, it's another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. Apologize last week. We didn't get to do a pregame for Costa Rica. But obviously we saw today being important to be on Mondays. We'll keep the shows on Monday nights. Sometimes it can interlap, depends on the games when it starts out. But we'll definitely get a show going. Love the support that we're seeing from out there. If you can't listen to us on YouTube, there is an iTunes link that we share usually the next day, and we're able to do that. But thank you to Tom. Thank you to Cesar. And everyone else. Naib Moran usually joins us with now in New York. Soccer Mexicana, that's Jason. You'll see him. And obviously Mr. Johnny Rico, who loves to come on and brings a dynamic that no one else
Yeah,
has.
I feel weird that like I'm not having some sort of weird argument, like where I have to somehow defend someone I don't
No,
like. You know?
Johnny Rico right now would be saying, I don't know. Ochoa had an amazing game. Layun had an amazing game.
Somehow we'd be talking about strikers, and I'll be like, but you know what, Ochoa, he should be started for Real Madrid. And then 5 minutes later, I find myself saying, like, you know what, no, Torrado should be our starting center. And then I don't know, he gets somehow I don't know.
Yeah, but Johnny's Johnny. So shout out to him. We'll be coming back obviously, and stay tuned for our next show. We'll be seeing everyone's schedule, but I'm sure we'll get something going and starting out. Honduras plays on Wednesday. Back on Univision, guys, for all those that suffer in the Copa America and that would be in sports, looking at those streams, not able to watch it live. I was one of them, trying to get streams going because I don't have beIN, but now having back to Univision. So, all right. Thank you. Go ahead. Go ahead, Tom.
Alanis is in.
There it is.
Alanis is in.
Chivas have jumped the gun and announced it.
We need
Federation.
There it is. We need like a little siren. I'm gonna have like, woo, breaking news by Tom. All right, so there you go. I think we're the first ones.
Yeah, there we go.
Tweet
First
it out.
podcast to
Tweet
do
it
it.
out.
Also,
All right,
solidity is actually a word.
There it is. So if you don't know, salinity.
Solidity.
Oh, solidity. All right, here we go.
Yeah, solidity is actually a word.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot, Tony. Thanks a lot, Ivan. Thanks a lot, Laura, Fabio, Roberto, Milad. All of you guys that come on the chat. Definitely appreciate it, and definitely have like your questions. Talk to you guys later. We'll see you. Go Mexico, Mexico, on Wednesday 2-0. Have a good day.